Everybody, welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. Welcome to the Sunday show. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. And let's get things. Let's get things kicked off here. And I want to start out by wishing everybody that's celebrating Mother's Day, all of the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. A lot of us couldn't do things without the mothers in our lives. So I want to wish a very special Mother's Day to my mother, of course, to my wife also. I have a sister-in-law and I have a sister also, and hope they are having a great day celebrating Mother's Day. So for all of the mothers out there, hope you have a really, really great Mother's Day, and understand you are very, very important to all of us. Now, with that being said, also wanted to give a shout out to everyone celebrating St. Patrick's Day this weekend. So, and a shout out also to the Irish rugby team. Me being Irish, very important to have some things in your life, some teams that are doing well, and things that are going well for us in the sporting sense. So, congratulations to the Ireland rugby team. They won the Triple Crown. They won the Grand Slam yesterday, and a great occasion, I'm sure it was, in Dublin. So, with all of that being said, everything is going really, really well this weekend. And of course, Arsenal. Everyone who's here supports Arsenal, and everyone who's here is celebrating the fact that we are 8 points clear of Manchester City, having played that extra game to be 8 points clear by the end of March. We're still there. We're still pushing ahead. We had the gap of 5 points to the World Cup. After the World Cup, we came back. Eddie Nketiah carried us through January. We had a tricky February, but this March has really helped us kick on with now it's 6 wins in a row since that last defeat against Manchester City in the league. A defeat, I think, that could have been avoided, but we got a little bit. We still have to grow up a little bit. This Arsenal team still has to grow up. So, listen, I'm hoping that Tony's going to join us today. Mahir may join us also, and Stan may join us. But if not, it's going to be me, and you can get tired of my voice after a certain amount of time. So throw in some questions to interact with me on this one as I talk you through this win today over Crystal Palace. And of course, it's remiss of me to say on St. Patrick's Day, shout out to Patrick Vieira, our legend. Patrick Vieira, let go by Crystal Palace on St. Patrick's Day. So not great. But I was so happy that the crowd at the Emirates were giving praise to Patrick Vieira, our legend, our Arsenal legend. So 4-1 win over Crystal Palace. We dealt them some more heartache, and Crystal Palace have not won a game now in 12 since December 31st. But if they had stuck with Patrick Vieira, 8 of their next 10 games till the end of the season were against teams below them in the table. So who's to say that Patrick Vieira could not have turned things around? And I'm quite sure it may have happened, The other thing we want to talk about today is Antonio Conte and the contrast between what's going on with Arsenal right now and our neighbours down the road there. Antonio Conte, he knew what he was getting himself into with that Tottenham team, that Tottenham organization. He saw Pochettino, he saw Mourinho, accomplished coaches and managers who could not turn things around at that club. And now Antonio Conte has chosen yesterday's game. Yes, you're leading against the bottom place team in Southampton. You're leading 3-1. And you're expected to go on and win that game. And through some Arsenal players, they lost the game, Theo Walcott getting a goal and Ainsley Maitland-Niles being part of the equalizing goal where Ward Prowse scored the late equalizer, and Antonio Conte unleashed. If you haven't seen that video about Tottenham, you should really check it out. It's a good 10 or 11 minutes of pure entertainment where Antonio Conte just pours his heart out and throws all of the players under the bus at Tottenham. And look, nothing he said, I could not take issue with anything that he said. But people are saying maybe he should have said it behind closed doors. Maybe he should have said it to those players. And then part of me thinks, Antonio Conte, you've had a number of windows to do things yourself. Weed out those players who feel like they don't want to play with pressure, stress, or passion. The players who have no desire at Tottenham. So things are going well with Arsenal right now. We're at the end of March. We're marching before the run-in, and when we come back in April, it will be the run-in, and I feel Easter is really the signal for the run-in. And look, we haven't been in this situation. Arsenal have not been in this situation for many, many years. So we do hope that Arsenal can stay the course. As Craig has said here in some of the comments as well, we have a number of games to go through now. But thankfully, we have Leeds when we come back. So April 1st, we come back, we play Leeds. And we'll play that game directly after Liverpool go to Manchester City. So Liverpool will be fighting to get into top four. There's pressure on Liverpool to do that. They have to play Man City away and then have us at home at their place in Anfield. So Liverpool, I'm going to bring in Tony, has joined me.
Sorry
Hey,
for leaving you by yourself. I was writing my doctor a note, and
welcome, Tony. Welcome to the show.
the
Thanks for joining me. It's not easy to talk for an hour by myself, and it's good to have that interaction as well. I was just saying, Tony, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there in the UK and Ireland that are celebrating. In the US, it's a little bit later, and I think it's in May. But and then going on to talk about Antonio Conte, we'll talk about that. If you saw that press conference, Tottenham throwing away a 3-1 lead at Southampton, the bottom team. We drew there. We drew there at Southampton, but we did not implode in the same way as Tottenham did. Tottenham had a real chance to grab 3 points and do what they usually do. We'll talk about the top four as well a little bit later. We'll talk about Antonio Conte. Of course, we're going to talk about Arsenal. We're here to talk about Arsenal, and we're here to talk about that comprehensive win today. But we'll get through a few comments here, Tony, as you get yourself settled in, okay? Roll call here. Craig is here. 10 cup finals to go. Take it game by game. Still got some tricky games to come. Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, and Brighton. I'm not sure just yet. Mr. Tom has joined us as well. Congratulations on the win yesterday, Mr. Tom. Leeds United winning a game against Wolves. So I wanted that desperately for you and for your team to get out of the bottom three. So congratulations on 3 points.
Well, thank you very much. Just like to say hello to everyone in the Arsenal fan circle community, and happy Mother's Day to everyone that has a mother, had a mother, is a mother, etc.
Exactly. And I hope everybody is doing things for their mother today, like cook a meal, do something nice for them. Craig said we still got some tricky games to come. Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, and Brighton. I'm not sure just yet. Yeah, there's a long way to go yet. We might have that gap.
I left off Leeds.
And Leeds, yeah. That's why I wanted Leeds to win yesterday so much. And they got the draw last weekend as well. So there's little green shoots of recovery from Leeds coming. Thankfully. I don't want to see them go down in the championship. Tom doesn't want to see that. Steven's here at Arsenal Misfit. Hey everyone, hope you're all good. Things are looking good in the Arsenal Asylum. Evening, Ryan. Everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. We've beaten Palace at home for the first time in 5 years. Tony knows
5.
Palace had 5 years. Yeah.
And
5.
and 5 years since we had the double on them.
Yeah, and the double as well. Assembles here. Evening, Ryan. Chat room. Craig, I agree. Many bridges to cross yet, but looking forward to it. So let's keep Leeds in the Premier League and let's push Arsenal up to win something, win the league for the first time in 19 years. I hope Crystal Palace enjoyed the beating we gave them. This was for our legend Patrick Vieira. Yeah, if Patrick hadn't been sacked, we still would have wanted to win the game. So, indeed, well done to Ireland Rugby. Congratulations. And we go forward into a World Cup as well later in the year in rugby. Evening all. Well done, Gooners. Henry Ray Baker, thanks for being here. Hopefully, it's over to Liverpool next to put some harding on Manchester City. And as I understand it right now, Man United are losing 1-0 in the FA
No.
Cup.
No.
Not anymore.
No. Incorrect. Unfortunately. Then we get the live update, but they were winning 2-1.
Oh, they're winning 2-1. So Manchester United continue then. They will probably face City in the final. Brighton are in there as well.
Fulham have had 3 players sent off, though.
3. I saw Willian had been sent off.
Yeah, Willian, Mitrovic, and another one's just happened, but I've not got confirmation of who it is. But there is a third red.
That is where Fulham have completely lost their heads then, I'm sure.
How do you do that to 3 players? Just boom, boom, boom.
Well, maybe a referee.
Might not be a player. It might be a coach here. It only says there's a third red. Hasn't named who. I will let you know though when it comes through.
Well done to Leeds.
Boom, boom, both have the same minute. So.
Well done to Leeds. Manager sent off. Sorry, thank you, Billy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done to Leeds as well. On their second away win on the season. The other one was at Anfield. That's not for everyone winning at Anfield. Gary's joining us from afar in the chat box. Hello, Ray, Tony, Mr. Tom, and chat room. Now, Craig said Saka's on 11 goals, 10 assists. Good numbers, Tony.
Yeah, I think I was a little under on Saka. Everybody else I'm pretty good on. Yeah,
you went Saka light in our predictions podcast.
I should have went with my original on Jesus, but oh well. I joined your guys' enthusiasm.
Thank you for welcome, Ray. Please, question and title. I wonder. Win the title, please. Win the title. That's it. Liverpool have been fighting City for 5 years now. Marco Silva was sent off. Seems like Fulham players are on a hurry to get to a Sunday night sesh. Yeah. So looks like the Manchester United bandwagon is going to continue to roll, but Arsenal bandwagon is continuing to roll. Leeds bandwagon is picking up a little bit of pace, and we'll meet
trucking along.
You know where the wheels on the train just start moving slowly at first. Hopefully,
that's high at the bottom.
After April 1st, we wish Leeds well. After April 1st.
Just getting in the groove of football being back after the World Cup, and
I know. Yeah,
had a fucking break in the middle of spring. Why do we need that? Why do we need it?
Let's talk about Tom. Have you seen Antonio Conte's press conference?
I have. I thought it was fascinating. Nothing he said was a lie or wrong. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong.
But
I could be wrong here. It gets to the stage where it's like, at what point does it constitute gross misconduct when you're actually like, say what you will about your players, regardless of what your opinions are on it, like say what you will about the 11 players that were out there, but when you then start talking about the owner, like the man who's paying the wages, it will put it another way. How many of you can actually stand in public and slag off your boss and not have repercussions for it?
Mm-hmm.
Again,
No.
whether you're right, it's immaterial. But how
Yeah.
many of you would get away with it?
And that it's public, it's out there in the public domain, and the media will obviously echo that chamber to the point where Daniel Levy is going to
Yeah.
hear about it moments later. And what does that conversation look like if there's a conversation between Daniel Levy and Antonio Conte?
Lots of cussing.
It's either going to be lots of cussing or there's no conversation because they don't talk.
Yeah.
One or the other. Probably
Now,
what Tony says.
That would be an awkward phone call, especially depending on which one decides to call.
He's not
first.
wrong, though. It's important to state he didn't say anything that you will not find said about them in any like football conversation on Facebook or social media. No, he said nothing that isn't said, like the history of Tottenham, the joke that goes around on social media, and like football meme groups and stuff like that. Just said everything that gets said on there. Problem is, I'm not employed by Tottenham. So I don't have a responsibility to the business / club or whatever. Like, I don't know.
do you think, Tom, that Conte bears some responsibility if indeed he is involved in the transfers that have been coming in the last 3 windows for him?
I suppose he was. I think ultimately, though, he is right to say, like, his responsibility ends when the players cross onto the grass. But then at the same time, I could say that about Jesse Marsch, and Jesse Marsch got sacked. There's about 10 managers who have been sacked. Don't quite quote me on that, but so many managers have been sacked where you can point to. Like, I've had to sit here since Thursday, not literally here, but and have Arsenal fans tell me why Patrick Vieira shouldn't have been sacked, when I have to tell them that I support a team that has had similar results, so I can understand why he was.
Yeah. And you were in a similar position with Bielsa, as I remember it, because the fixtures at the time that Bielsa was sacked, funnily enough, after I think it was a Tottenham game, right? When Tottenham beat Leeds. But the fixtures of Leeds would have, with Jesse Marsch coming in, were quite favourable.
Exactly right.
You know?
You've now on it there. If I remember rightly, we had a 6-day period where we played
Leicester,
Manchester
away.
United. We played Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham.
Yeah.
Bielsa got sacked, and then it was Leicester, Norwich, Wolves.
Yes. Yeah. And, Jesse Marsch was able to work with those easier fixtures, but we'll never know now, Tom. We'll never know that with Bielsa.
No, of course not.
If he would have been able to turn the corner with those fixtures.
I believe he would have, but a lot of Leeds fans feel like he wouldn't have. But it's an argument that it will happen for a long time, but ultimately no one's going to know what would really happen.
Yeah. So, Tony, what are your thoughts on Patrick Vieira, the sacking of Vieira?
To me, it's a little bit of surprise because they're right there close to mid-table, even though there's not much separation between mid-table and relegation.
Yeah.
But I would have kept him, gave him more time, but the club thought of otherwise.
Yeah. It's quite alarming. The 31st of December, 12 games now. Only 5 draws from those 12 games. The other were 7 losses. And who's to know? I guess the ownership will have to take ownership, literally, of the situation now and who they're going to hire. Talk at Crystal Palace is that possibly Roy Hodgson is a manager who's going to come in. For me, that represented kind of a backward step, Tom. Going back to where they were. Maybe it's familiar. Maybe it's a good step for them, but I see it as a regression.
Well, I've read a few articles about the sacking and like the ins and outs of what went on there, but one of the actual things that happened, which was out of his control, that didn't help his cause, was like the the biggest offence that I've had, or I've had at me about Vieira sacking was, oh, but he played all the teams in the top half. And it was like, but you beat none of them. And people go, yeah, but as expected to beat them. I was like, well, Leeds won at Anfield, Southampton beat Chelsea, Bournemouth beat Liverpool, Bournemouth beat one at Wolves, and like, what didn't help him was there were teams below them, significantly below them, that were beating teams significantly above them, and he weren't one of them. And that bothered them. It was like, why, out of 12 games, you couldn't get one win against one of the teams above you. Now, again, that's not really his fault, in the same way that it's not Conte's fault, but Conte will be blamed for their woes.
Yep. Okay. Henry Ray Baker's asking, how many points will you get from the run-in with the games you have left to play, Ray? I've actually worked it out. We have 10 games to go. I believe we'll win 5 more games and draw 4 and lose 1. So that will get us 19 points. We're on 69 right now.
That's not very optimistic, right?
We'll finish with about 88 points. It's not very optimistic. But,
you think you'll win at Man City then?
So I have a draw for Man City.
Oh, so who do you think you'll lose to?
I think we're going to lose to Newcastle away from home.
Come on now, we're next on the slate. That's going to be 2 losses then, isn't it?
I got 3 points down for Leeds. I'm sorry. It's a home game.
That's outrageous.
It's a home game. It's at the Emirates. It's got to be. But Tony, when you look at our run-in, we have very difficult games away from home. Specifically, Liverpool, Man City away, Newcastle away. We play away to West Ham. It's a tricky game as well. So really, I have worked it out. We'll get 88 points, but I would like to get 90. Just have that credibility of, with Chest winning the league title in this era, you have to have 90 points plus.
What happened to 75, Ray?
75 was pre-season, and I can't find any Arsenal fan out there that could tell me on April 1st that we'd be starting the table 8 points clear of everyone. You know what I mean? 8 points clear of City, 20 points clear of Tottenham.
Lots of people could be telling you that on April's Fool's Day.
Yeah, exactly. Really always trusted me to figure that one out. Leeds will give us a game for sure, but we'll get 3 points. Yeah. Let's get back to Conte a little bit as well. Tom, he's clearly called out some players without actually naming names.
I think I get the feeling he's basically called out everyone except Harry Kane.
Well, he even talked about Harry Kane. He talked about players who are just interested in having records and padding their stats.
Did you talk about the ball boys?
Maybe
that's all he left out.
The ball boys are the only ones at Tottenham that are probably doing their job properly. Tony,
I find it strange of him to call Harry Kane out then in that sense, because I mean, what's he meant to do? He's just behind Haaland in terms of actual goal scoring in the league. What's he? They would be a lot worse off without Harry Kane. I think that's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't even have to like Harry Kane to know that he is a bulk of why they are where they are. Yep. In terms of they would be a lot lower without him. Not without Harry Kane's the reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Son and Kane. Kane and Son. Sounds like sounds like stepdad and son. Kane and Son. Without those two, yeah. Conte went to the wrong club. Henry Ray Baker says, we will be in the Europa League next season, but LFC will give you a run for your money, Ray. We will have everyone back fit and available. Yeah. It's going to be tough for Liverpool. They're almost going to have to get at least 3 points out of Arsenal or City in their next 2 fixtures. because they are trying to keep pace with what Man United doing, what Newcastle are doing, what Tottenham are doing. Yeah.
I still
So
think they can get fourth.
Liverpool.
Yeah, they can. I don't know necessarily saying they will, but they can. It's not out of reach.
No, it's not
The
out of
Bournemouth
reach.
loss. The Bournemouth loss was a big hit to that, of course.
Mhm.
But
They're gonna
I
have
know
to. It's gonna be two. Tony, go ahead. Yep.
I only know if Brentford and Brighton are out of it at this point because just nobody seems to want to get that final Champions League spot.
I think even Man United are in peril right now. Man United and Newcastle, Tottenham, and Liverpool. It's going to be decided two spots from those four teams. We'll talk about it a little bit more later in this podcast. We'll give you a chance to look at the league table and see what's what. Well, let's get into quickly. We'll talk about Leeds, Tom, because you're here. Tell me a little bit about Leeds yesterday and what your thoughts were on the game.
oh god, that game gave me a heart attack. That game, because I'm sat there. I was more shocked to be. Well, I'll put it this way: I was more shocked to be 3-0 up than I was when it went to 3-2. Because Leeds will be Leeds, but I was just. It was a roller coaster of emotions. Let's say, more relief than anything.
Take those words out of your mouth, Tom.
Tony hates those words. Tony hates those words. I shared a simulated program with Tony about Arsenal's position throughout the season, and it's been a straight line the whole way through, Tony, except for minor blips at the start and a very minor blip when City beat us. But we got them won 6 games in a row. I was not surprised, Tom. I was surprised when Leeds went 2-0 up. Probably very, very good timing to get that 2-0. That second goal, 4 minutes into the second half. Why?
Well, no, I mean, I'm glad it was. What I mean is, from a defensive standpoint, I don't understand how Luke Ayling was allowed to have that much space at the back post. He was absurd, bordering on criminal.
He was in a group of players around the penalty spot and spun around to the back post.
He peels off his marker, and the marker doesn't notice. But it's not he's slightly 1 second behind him. It's like, no, Ayling literally has like the freedom of the penalty box to just
he's right there.
Walk around. I mean, like I say, that shouldn't have happened. If Leeds had conceded that goal, I'd be furious.
Yeah.
I'd have been furious with all.
It's one of those things that looks really bad because the ball comes to him and he's there unmarked. He gets something on it which surprises the keeper a little bit, and it sneaks past, and you're 2-0 up very quickly. Then something that Antonio Conte was talking about, Tottenham players' desire. Christensen has that desire to get on the end of that cross to go 3-0 up, and you're in seventh heaven. Then you're 3-0 up, but Leeds being Leeds. And it's not Melia's fault.
It's not. I've been defending the keeper. The reality is, right, most goalkeepers, when they come out and they knock the ball out, that ball might, at worst, it will fall to a player on the other team, and then you're in a bit of trouble. He actually successfully gets the header to a Leeds player, who then proceeds to just lob the ball to a Wolves player while he's not back. So obviously he's been caught out, and he's got to now take the embarrassment of conceding a goal from 40 yards. But he never gave it to the Wolves player.
No, he gives it to Portugal FC, the Midlands Portugal FC, and a good finish from the player. A good finish from the player.
It was. It was.
When you're rocking a little bit, you can see the second goal soon after. You're rocking a little bit. I'm feeling nervous for you at that point. 3-2 down. You got 20 minutes. 3-2 up. You got 20 minutes to go. But you get a little bit of luck in the fourth goal, but it may well have ended at 3-2. So it's kind of a moot point.
Well,
you get
they were down to 10 men at that point because of
as well.
the
Yes,
guy who scored the
horrific,
40-yarder.
a horrific tackle on Aileen as well.
They're going to appeal that. The Wolves manager in an interview said we're considering appealing the red card. I was like, based on what?
That is a leg breaker.
Yeah.
That is a little bit more force. He's quite lucky to not be in hospital today and in a cast with a broken leg and out for the rest of the season. So there's no way they can appeal that. They can appeal it, but they're not going to win. Let's just say that much. So 4-2, a good win for Leeds away from them. You actually beat them last season as well in a crazy game, 3-2 also. So
on the exact same date last season.
So I would suspect Mark is not very happy right now. Yeah. Okay. So any other points?
Sorry, right. Excuse me 1 minute.
Yep. We're going to move on to the Arsenal game now. LFC are not going to roll over and let City win. Yeah, exactly. And you have your own interests as well to go and get 3 points. Brighton might have to be watched. Only problem is the game in hand could be scheduled to their disadvantage. I'm just going to look at the squad and say I don't think Brighton have a big enough squad. And it's almost a poison chalice for these teams to play in Europe, Tony. What are your thoughts? We had West Ham are now kind of in trouble because their squad has not been big enough to go through a Europa League campaign last season, and now they're in the conference. So what are your thoughts on a smaller squad? Overachieving, Tony.
Yeah, they're overachieving. With us, we kind of underachieved with thin squads this year. We're still fairly thin, but doing good.
Yeah. If you're struggling a little bit with your breathing there, so Tony, do take the time to keep drinking or whatever you need to do, right?
Yep.
All right. So I appreciate you being here with me, but I'm not going to have you talk too much today. Okay.
Well, I'm not doing what the fuck I want anyway, right? So.
That's true as well. Yeah. That was a decent finish from Johnny, says Riddy. Alonso's here. Yo, guys, get in there, Arsenal, says Alonso. Looking forward to matching today. No problem. Any final thoughts on the Leeds win for you, Tom?
Yeah, obviously it's a massive result because we're now 1 point behind Wolves we're 1 point behind Wolves and Crystal Palace with a game in hand. So that's how tight it is in the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, after we go to Arsenal, we've then got 3 home games in a row, which is, off the top of my head, it is Palace, Forest, and then Liverpool. So if we can get 12 points out of the next 4 games, then I think we'll be all right. We might avoid relegation.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get 12 points from those 4 games, you'll be talking about Europe before you know it. You'll be a 7th or 8th place.
Oh no! The only way Leeds are ever getting into Europe is if we book a couple pre-season friendlies in Malaga or something like that.
Yeah. Alonso said, "Granit Xhaka and Holding man of the matches." I think you're pushing them a little bit. You're projecting a little bit, Alonso. I think we all have candidates in mind. So anyway, that's Leeds. Good win for Leeds yesterday. Let's go through the results real quickly. We'll talk about top 4 as well. Brentford surprisingly 1-1 draw with Leicester City. Newcastle won the game very late against Nottingham Forest on Friday. Tottenham capitulated against Southampton 3-3. Aston Villa had a facile, easy win against Bournemouth, a 3-0 win. Leeds had the most entertaining game probably of the weekend. Tom would probably like a little bit less entertainment. More banality, more run-of-the-mill wins than.
Did you have your heart medication with you, Tom?
I fell off the chair when it went 4-2. I was just.
You had one of those wins that we as Arsenal fans have been experiencing this year, The win against Man United, notwithstanding 3-2 Eddie and Kedia. The win at Aston Villa with that double doink off Emi Martinez, which we'll talk about Ramsdale. Almost happened to Ramsdale today. And that win against Bournemouth with Reece Nelson. You had one of those late wins. It was a little bit like the Aston Villa one. Just to seal it for you.
Actually, I don't know if anyone saw it, but basically, it probably is a foul on. Basically, a Adama Traore shirt gets lightly tugged, but it's one of those where, like, I mean, I can't deny he's tugged him, but my issue with it is that you didn't even notice he was tugging your shirt while he was tugging your shirt, and you are massive, Mr. Traore. That would not have held you back if you were actually trying to move.
I actually go ahead.
No, go on. Sorry.
I actually give credit to the Leeds player for actually being able to grab onto his shirt because he wears a shirt that's 3 sizes too small for him. You know.
Well, he plays for the wrong type of football.
You should be playing rugby, Tony. You should be playing rugby.
Rugby or American football, one of the two. Not soccer.
He cost his team the game, in my opinion. Do I really think they would have got the third goal or the 6th goal in the game? No, but the reality is that they literally had no chance because he then, when he realises he's not got the free kick, he's still got about 3 yards of space where no one else is on him. But then when he definitely realises he's not getting the free kick, he literally throws his arms up in a tantrum, to which then Somerville literally just walks up, takes the ball, passes it to Rodrigo, and he's away.
Yeah.
Play to the whistle.
And we had a player, we'll talk about a Crystal Palace player later who was doing something similar today as well. The last thing before the Arsenal game, we're going to get into the Arsenal game. The last one is Everton went away to Chelsea and got a 2-2 draw. Graham Potter still struggling at Chelsea to find the right formula of 50 players, the right 11 to put on the field and get consistent wins and consistent performances. And Todd Bowley probably cannot be very happy about that right now. Okay, with that being said, we had, I mentioned Tony Emi Martinez earlier in the season. We had some fortune with that game with Jorginho's shot coming off the bar, hitting the back of Emi Martinez's head and going in. Something similar happened today with Wilfred Zaha, but we got a huge slice of luck there.
Yeah. It's bound to happen here and there. But I'm glad to have it against Emi because he likes to talk shit about Arsenal any chance he can. I think you and Gary have now given up your love affair of Emi.
It's like when you admired a player, but then he showed you his true personality, his true character. And it's not.
Are you officially done with him now?
Yeah, it's not who you want to be associated with. That type of person. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you try to distance yourself, and you try to tell yourself, I never liked him that much. You know.
Try to get that out of your head.
Yeah. So Wilfred Zaha going forward, he can be dangerous. Had that shot, cut inside on Ben White, and we see Ramsdale actually had a tip onto the bar for that one.
Oh, I'm watching that now. Yep.
He got ever so slight tip there. Otherwise, it's going in. You know. The rebound doesn't come square off his back, comes off his trailing knee leg area, and we get lucky there because that could quite easily rebound into the goal, and we're 1-0 down. You know.
He was lucky, or he wasn't lucky. We were lucky for getting our fingers on it. Would have changed the game a little bit, and then we'd still win.
Will there be an Arteta statue if we win the Premier League? I think it would have to be based on a body of work. And if that would be, if a Premier League title was part of that, and an FA Cup was part of that, and maybe a couple of other prestigious trophies in the intervening years, why not? You know, if he gathers 4 to 5 trophies in his tenure, Tony, it wouldn't be a bad shout to have a Mikel Arteta statue outside the Emirates. You know,
Yeah. To me, I kind of think of what my grandma always says. Kind of, it's almost the anniversary of her being buried 3 months after, or 3 weeks after she died. That's a totally different story, but she'd always say that's like getting fucked without getting kissed first.
yeah,
That's what my grandma would say about Arteta getting a statue.
yeah. All right, so we have a couple of instances then where they have a breakaway on us. It's offside. I don't understand, Tony. After 16 minutes, Edwards through on goal. They wait for the whole sequence of play to play out before they call an offside. And we're going to have a situation again where, remember, Virgil van Dijk got injured at Everton. I know it was a bang play, but we're going to have a situation where a player is going to be seriously injured because they like to let these sequences of play out.
But this year they kind of made it a point to not do it like they have in the past. I haven't seen it that much. Usually they're pretty quick on raising the flag, but you always got shitty side judges like when we played the Europa League. That side judge was on it. Every call he made was perfect. That kind of shows you that European referees are better than English ones, but in a whole, the referees have been a lot better about getting their flags up early. But like you said, somebody's bound to get hurt when you wait that long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can let 10, 15 seconds roll off without lifting the flag. It's just, and it's kind of like me too. Even kind of goes back to Thursday. You get a player fouled, definitely a yellow card. And there's already a player on a yellow card. We didn't have much advantage, but still let it play on for 10 to 15 seconds. Just stop play, get him a yellow and a red, and say ta-ta.
Yeah. And then, Tom, did you have something you wanted to cut in? Say no?
Oh, no, I was waving to Russ. I think it's important to know that no matter where you get referees from, people will be upset with them. By the very, like, no one likes the police. Like, by the very nature, no one likes whoever is the arbitrator of the rules, ultimately.
Of justice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no one. It always issues.
So my notes sort of say Arsenal are asking questions of the wingers, Olise and Zaha. Olise does his job. Tom, did you see the game?
No, I've seen the highlights.
Okay,
I haven't actually seen.
Olise covers Trossard.
On TV here, to be fair, right?
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, that is disgraceful as well. I feel embarrassed to be talking about the game when people in England are unable to see games. You know, it's not fair at all.
Why is it still a rule, Tom? Why?
Well, it is a rule. It's a parliamentary rule.
Well, no. On that rule is actually, I believe, only applies to Saturdays. I could be wrong, but on Sundays, you got to keep in mind they pay X amount of money for X amount of games, and they obviously want to save a lot of games till later in the season for when there's actual permutations and stuff like that in play.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't just turn around and go, "Oh, Arsenal ain't one of our picks this week, but we'll put them on TV anyway," because then that means that someone else won't get on TV in May, and it might have even been, it won't be Arsenal because you obviously get picked because you're at the top of the table. But you know what I mean? Just, I don't know. Look, to be fair though, like this always comes up when a Big Six team happens to not be on TV. But then I'm sitting there like, well, my team's on at 3:00 most weeks on Saturday, so I never get to see him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah. On this occasion, Elise is covering Trossard, Tony on the left. So Elise's help against Zinchenko. Zinchenko actually wins a throw in. He's not very good defensively, but Zinchenko does well there. He's able to track back. Elise is tracking back. Doesn't get a yellow card early in the halfway through that first half. But then on the right hand side, Zaha is found out for the first goal with Ben White being able to nip in front of Wilfried Zaha. And I tweeted about it as well at the time that Arsenal were basically 2-0 up because Wilfried Zaha was unwilling to track back and do the nitty gritty, dirty work that the game requires sometimes, Tony.
And he's usually a person that does that, but you never know when managers change and stuff like that. Sometimes the players disappointed, not playing as hard. So you never know that. But like you said, it's like getting an extra goal by not tracking back there.
Yeah, and Wilfried Zaha, I think Tony is a player who's coming to the end of his time with Crystal Palace. I believe he's probably going to move on in the summer to find another club. He's becoming that personality that's maybe impeding some of the younger players from coming through and showing their own personality.
Yeah, he started off this season really good because Vera was playing him in the middle.
He's got quality, Tony, but he reminds me a little bit of Thierry Henry toward the end of his time at Arsenal, where he was scowling at Fabregas, scowling at Van Persie because they weren't doing the right things, giving the right passes. Really said that was an underrated pass from White to Saka.
It's kind of in that Alexis Sanchez type stuff, but Sanchez took it a lot further.
Just saying, learned that. White learned how to do that pass at Ellen Road.
Yeah, White had his education at Ellen Road. Indeed,
he really did.
I don't deny it. Don't deny it. I believe you. I believe almost everything you say, Tom. I believe almost everything you say.
Except that Eddie Nketiah is a great striker.
It's probably 2% that I don't believe.
Eddie Nketiah is incredible. I don't know what you all see.
That's part of the 2% there, Tony. So Wilfried Zaha doesn't track back. Ben White nips in, gets that interception, and feeds Saka, Tony. Bukayo Saka picks out Martinelli.
It's nice seeing him getting back to scoring form. He's a little bit off for a month, but I think he'll be back now. I think what's really seemed to help him is Trossard being in there starting.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, Trossard coming, we thought maybe a signal of intent that Trossard was going to come and take Martinelli's place. But in the front line now, they've both the injuries to Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus has given Arteta an opportunity to play Martinelli and Trossard together, especially because Saka is always going to be starting every game that's important to us.
As me and Gary always say, another happy accident.
Another happy accident, but this team is growing, and you have to try, Tom. You have to try the formulations of players. You have to try see how they're going to play. You can't know what they're going to be like unless you actually play them.
But when we question you have to ask it, Ray, is would Arteta done that if the players weren't hurt?
Yeah, there's always that situation. Players get injured. Liverpool had to do that last season with Diaz, with Mane and Salah, and sometimes they had to play Mane through the center. last season. And that's why I've been advocating more of forwards rather than strikers and wingers. The terminology being that you need to be able to interchange these, as Gary would say, plug and play.
Mhm.
You know, put players in, plug and play. But Martinelli cuts onto his left foot and a great shot into the corner for 1-0 lead after 28 minutes, and we're on our way. After looking at the Wilfred Zaha pass that hit the bar, Ramsdale has been effective in keeping us level, and now we've gone ahead 1-0 up. His 13th goal of the season. And the 30th minute, there's an Elise challenge on Granit Xhaka. A knee injury, perhaps, Tony, but Granit Xhaka is okay to continue, and perhaps Granit Xhaka's best ability is his availability, Tony.
Yeah, I've never seen a player just play like he does. And until this season, I've never seen a player major knee injury, no contact, straight back into first team practice, right into the game. It's crazy. It's just mind boggling that the guy just plays all the time.
So
He has a good witch doctor or whatever he's
yeah,
secured for himself there. I don't know.
I don't. I think we don't want injuries, right? But I'm sure some of us are thinking, okay, Granit Xhaka could be injured, and now who's going to come in his place, and who's going to maybe take this chance and prosper? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those things you're almost halfway wishing would happen, so you can see if Zinchenko or Trossard,
Yeah.
whoever ends up in that spot.
Injuries will happen. He will miss games between now and next season. He will miss games, and
Yeah. And that's what's scary, right? You say next season, and he'll still be out there starting.
Yeah, we have to.
I remember middle of the summer you laughing at me when I told you he'd start more than 10 games. Now he's
Yeah,
looking
because
like he'll have 30 plus starts.
my thinking at the time was we're getting Zinchenko. We were chasing Tielemans hard, so Tielemans would have been that left-sided player that
You
could have
were
come in. I thought Tielemans was going to come. That may not be the case now, as the waters of time wash by. And now we have Trossard, though, but Trossard can play in a lot of positions. So it's really up for grabs who's going to take Granit Xhaka's position long term. Will it be somebody like Declan Rice as well? Um, Henry Ray Baker, thanks for joining us. I got to
I
go.
wouldn't spend the
Thanks for
money
being with
on
us for a little bit.
Declan though. I would still spend it up front.
You offer £10 for Rafinha.
Yeah. And then 36-minute Olise fouls Zinchenko. I really thought that he would get a yellow card at this point, and even into the second half, Tony, he commits another foul on Kieran Tierney. Very quick to grab Tierney's arms and pull him back up so the referee would forget about the situation. And also thought very early doors for that. When Zaha, that's what players do, right, Tom?
I
Like,
know.
okay,
I know. It's brilliant. It's like we're mates. We're mates. He's not hurt. We're still pals.
come on,
I'm right. We're going to get Christmas cards from each other, ref. It's fine.
I'll
Give him a
pull him up.
free kick.
He'll
Yeah,
stand up. I'll give him a kick. He'll
Yeah.
stand up. I'll pat him on the back.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Yeah.
We can continue.
We'll go have beers afterwards.
No need for action, ref. We're all good over here.
Although,
No need for anything.
I will say there is one footballer who has never done that because he is so intimidating that not even VAR will rule against him.
Roy
That
Keane.
man is Junior Firpo.
I thought you were going to say Roy Keane or some hard man like that.
No, because they're far away. They know Roy can't get to them, but they don't know if Firpo can get to them or not. So, but seriously,
instead of hard man,
no, it's Firpo.
Man that made him hard.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah.
Yes, Tony.
No, I said Tom went with a player that made him hard instead of a hard player.
Mm-hmm. Um,
That's not
all right,
PG.
so we're up to 40th minute. Erdegaard and Saka on the right. On the right, um, ends with an Erdegaard shot. Yeah, Erdegaard dragged the shot wide. I thought Erdegaard, Tony, I've discovered since Thursday, you miss players because you don't see them playing. Erdegaard, he really means a lot to this team, right?
Yeah, I thought that was the biggest mistake out of that game, waiting so long to put him on. I know he had the injuries early, but at that point, he still should have came on earlier.
Well, you really see him the way he injects pace and enthusiasm into the game. The pace of the game goes up higher, goes faster because of Martin Erdegaard and the way he plays, the way he moves the ball, and it's undeniable now. People must see this in his game.
And it's going to be kind of interesting who gets the player of the year, Odegaard or Saka. Saka's a better player, but I think Odegaard unlocks so much more.
Do you think? Do you think there's a case for Erling Haaland to be named Player of the Year because he's going to break the goal scoring record?
Oh, he's a
Of course he is.
shatter.
Do you think that? Do you think that makes a case for him to be made named Player of the Year? Then, Tom.
I think he will do, because I think what some people forget when it comes to awards, we believe that awards are meant to reward achievement, but what they
Mhm.
actually function for is to promote the sport or venture. So basically, who promotes football more out of Bukayo Saka and Erling Haaland?
I mean,
What brings the eyes to football in terms of publicity? It's like were there years where Lionel Messi and Ronaldo maybe shouldn't have won the Ballon d'Or, but they did.
so I got to take my rose tinted glasses off and look at the achievement of all the goals that have been scored. Even
I'm not saying it's right. Like
yeah.
if Bukayo Saka won Player of the Year, I would not be sat here angry. I would not come onto this show. This is an injustice or anything like that. I'd go, yeah, he deserves it. But at the same time, if Erling Haaland gets it, he will also deserve it. But I will also be expecting Erling Haaland to get it.
So yeah. So in each case, you could say Bukayo Saka won it. He deservedly won it because he inspired Arsenal to a first Premier League title in 19
Of
years.
course,
But
yes,
Erling Haaland's got to feel really, really hard done by because he scored 50 goals in the
yes.
Premier League.
Ultimately, football is about goals. So I think someone said earlier he scored 11 league goals, Saka, whereas Erling Haaland got what 3 times that amount.
Yeah,
Now I
comfortably
know
right now.
goal exactly right. But as I said before, it's like the Oscars. Is like there's great best example of it. The best film doesn't always actually win, or the film that makes the most money
Mm.
doesn't win the best Oscar
Yeah, yeah,
award, does it? Doesn't win Best
yeah.
Picture. It's whatever politically aligns with what they want to promote at the time.
Yeah, each
Yeah.
year
Like
it's what they want to promote. But
it'll
three
be
years
Denzel.
ago, they finally made it mandatory. They had to put the big budget movies up for it.
So
That was
what was
stupid, but
yeah, and what was funny to me when I went to Ireland, right, and I had a chance to go see my nephew play football, right, and he's playing in his team. All the kids that are scoring goals, they're doing the Ronaldo celebration because that's probably the most fun one for them to do. Now, Ronaldo's probably, he's one of the big players in the game, but he's also got a goal celebration that takes their fancy and they like it. You know what I mean? So they are imitating and copying that.
maybe
People love
next
things
summer
that they
you'll
can
get
do.
there and they'll be doing the Odegaard.
But then
I
we're
know
going to
they'll
be
do that.
maybe we're talking about this player of the year prematurely. We like to talk ahead of time, right? So we're going to maybe say Erling Haaland has won the Premier League Player of the Year, but Bukayo Saka has inspired Arsenal with many great performances and many fantastic goals. And if you combine his 10
yeah.
goals and the yards, they're probably much more than Erling Haaland's combined yards, but there's 50 of them. You know what I mean? Interesting. We'll have this discussion later in the season when we do find out who is Player of the Year, the Premier League Player of the Year. And should you be part of the? Should you be a Player of the Year if you don't win the title, Tom? Second place player or third place player like Rashford.
The only reason I'm going to say no is because the actual thing that decides who wins the title is the league, like the point system. So if you're doing an individual award, that shouldn't necessarily be weighted on entirely on the fact of where did you finish. Otherwise, we might as well just take it to who won Arsenal Player of the Year.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Yeah, we talked about this in jest early in the season, saying, imagine if Haaland scored 50 goals, Tony, but came second. And the only way for Arsenal to do this thing, winning the league, was to have 5 players score 10, 12 goals in their respective season.
Yeah, but that's kind
I
of a
agree with
problem.
Stephen.
It's so much spread around the team. It's hard to say, oh, you're the guy was leaning for was the Arsenal Player of the Year between Odegaard and Saka. To me, Saka's
I
the
agree
better
with
player,
Stephen.
but Odegaard's done more there.
Yeah. No, this is
That's
true.
the
Your
one
fellow
where,
professionals, right, Tom?
yeah, like you're being recognised by your peers solely is actually like. I could be wrong here, but like there's no political agenda there. It's just everyone gets a vote, and whoever wins wins.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, well, I think Player of the Year, like, is like it's journalists. I'm guessing, or like who
Yeah.
decides that?
Yeah.
Don't know exactly. I think the
But it's
managers. I
certainly
think
not the people
managers.
that play against
Yeah.
Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the one they want. Stephen's right. Player of the Year, recognized by your fellow professionals because they understand the trials and tribulations of being a professional footballer, and but
Yeah.
you also have to maybe be a decent person, not someone who's going to like stick your nose in it. As Stephen said, right now our biggest goal should be to get healthy and fix our defense on set pieces in our end, especially corner kicks has become a real concern for me with the way we are conceding.
How has that changed with the same coach on set
Because
pieces?
there's Tom can weigh in as well, but there's a body of work that other teams can look at, tendencies of players on corner kicks, what they tend to do, the areas
But
they tend to mark. You can sort of maybe pick out a zone that you could attack. That maybe
Yeah.
you have a good matchup, right, Tom?
Yeah, that's basically it. I don't know for a fact, but Luke Ayling basically said in an interview yesterday, he inferred that they'd worked on that corner as a routine, and he implied it, but I'm guessing he realised or they learned that Wolves don't protect the back post. So he knew if he could drag them out and then peel off, they wouldn't. They hoped they wouldn't follow him, and that's what happened. But like we conceded under Bielsa in the Premier League, we conceded the most goals from corners, and it got to the point where we played West Ham, and the stat was that they scored the most goals from corners. So every time West Ham got a corner on us, it felt like they'd got a penalty, and it was just. I'd have actually preferred us to have given away a penalty because they didn't score as many penalties as they scored corners. So, but it's true. Your zonal marking on corners, you come unstuck on it a lot for a team at the top that doesn't concede many goals. It stands out more because when you do concede goals, it tends to be from corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to me, like my whole point of asking Ray that, it wasn't until Newcastle 2-3 games and 4 of the season was over that we finally allowed a corner piece goal. Now we're letting them in left and right. It's weird how that changed that much in a year.
Yep. We have been conceding some goals since we came back from the World Cup, basically, Tony.
Yeah.
We're getting some clean sheets, that's for sure, but we're conceding goals that we would say are cheap goals. And the one we conceded today was a cheap goal as well. Corner kick that was not dealt with, Tony.
Yeah, it's us and Newcastle the whole first half of the year. Then the break happens, and I don't know what's happened with the defense or on the set pieces. Both of them are just, it's like a lack of concentration where they just take a moment off and let the opponent score. Seems like a lot of it just.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we haven't rotated much and the players are getting tired, or what's the cause of it.
It could be a little bit of that. It could be a little bit of the season dragging on, players getting tired, but also it could be that, teams are starting to find areas of weakness in our defense, areas of our protection is not covered. So, yeah, we've dropped to third in goals against Man City, or the second best defense now by 1 goal only. But we are still maintaining second in goals for behind Man City. So with this 4-1 win, we've closed up our goal difference, albeit with 1 extra game played, to now within, I think, 2 goals in terms of goal difference. And that's important if we can keep chipping away at them, want to shout out a documentary I was watching the other night, U2, with David Letterman on Disney Plus. It was very interesting, and they have a song, and the chorus goes, "There is no them, there's only us." So, Arsenal fans, we need to unite behind the team, because the media and rival fans will try to poke and pick at the cracks that are there, and we have not had cracks. Contrast us to Tottenham and what's going on over there at with Conte as well. And I think Arteta's worked to change the culture at Arsenal. He's moved on the players that have been issues, problem players, and the players, Tony, who did not want to work and have the desire. Conte talked about the fire. He wants to see the fire in the eyes, and he doesn't see that with his Tottenham players. And
we did it by going out and buying players. Zinchenko, Jesus. For me, it's like mainly Zinchenko, because he's more in the middle of the pitch, and I think he's just so happy to be at Arsenal, sitting there painting a mural of himself at the Emirates and stuff like that. He's super committed to Arsenal, so, and he has that winning mentality that makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Here we are, 10 games left. We're 20 points ahead of them. So we get to have our favorite day for the first time since Leicester won the title.
Yeah, first time for quite a few years. It's going to have that St. Tottenham's Day. But,
I can't believe it's been 7 fucking years. 7. Ugh.
That's a long time to be finishing behind them.
Now, Tom, you're an objective opinion here. In the intervening time of 7 years, albeit Tottenham have finished above us in the league, they haven't won any trophies in that time. And in that time, we've actually won 3, maybe 2 or 3 trophies. So how do you pick the bones out of
that? It depends what metric you use to decide who is better, isn't it? I mean,
what metric are you going to choose to use?
Well, yeah, like
are you going to usually get to the Champions League final?
Yeah, they didn't win it.
They got to the Champions League final because they lost.
Yeah. I wouldn't be posing. Let me just say, I would not be posing this question if Tottenham won the Champions League final. It would be folly for me to stack 2 FA Cups against a Champions League trophy. It would be kind of folly to do that. But Tottenham have been better than us in the league, but not better than us in terms of winning trophies in those last 5-6 years, Tom.
It's a question that you can't really answer because it depends on how much you like one and really hate the other or whatever. I mean, ultimately, you're going to say you had a better time of it because you won 2 trophies, but they're going to say, well, we finished in the top 4 X amount of years and we finished above you for 7 years. They're both are going to say whatever. And ultimately, I don't really care because none of you are elites. But the reality is, who is more likely to win a title? And it's not them.
Especially, especially in these coming years, we're
Most
coming
of those
into
years that was just 1 to 3 points. Is that when
it was close? It was a number of years. It was close, Tony. Yeah.
I can sum up.
except for
I can sum up
Arteta's
the
first 2
state of.
years?
I can sum up the state of Tottenham. They finished 3rd in a 2-horse race with Leicester. They were challenging Leicester for the title and still finished below Arsenal.
The dogs want out,
Yeah. And
as
that
much
was
as you
season.
finished, as much as you finished 2nd, you weren't the contenders with Leicester for the title.
No.
You just happened to, once it was gone, Tottenham fell away and you picked up some points to sit above
It
Tottenham.
was on the final day of the season as well. They lost at Newcastle. They lost 5-1 in Newcastle, and we won our game. And we come second, again, we come second. Not a glory year for either one of us. And we had beaten them twice that season, but lost in the February, March, and April part of the season is when we lost that title to Leicester City. We beat Leicester on Valentine's Day in February. So Craig is going to say Napoli to win the league, the Champions League. They are on the weaker side of the draw.
I've said all along that I don't think they have the experience at that business end of the Champions League to beat a Real Madrid or someone like that over 2 legs. But as you've just said, they are in the half of the draw where they don't actually play the 4 big boys. Yeah. And in the quarterfinal, they're playing a team they're already significantly above in the league by a lot of points.
Milan, is it?
Yep.
Ole compadres. Ole
48, 50, 23-point lead over Milan.
Yeah, but essentially this is a 2-legged cup fixture. Anything can happen in these situations. Generally, over 2 legs, the better team will win, right?
Well, this is, again, what I was speaking to before, why I didn't think they'd win it, is Milan have the Champions League pedigree, as in, as a club, they are used to these matches. Maybe not all the players, like Zlatan has played in big matches, for example. Yeah. Whereas they've got, obviously Napoli have got a great team. They're so far out in front in Italy, it's ridiculous. But how many of them have played in the Champions League final?
Yeah.
Because there's a reason Real Madrid always win it. It's not like there's a reason they beat Man City. It's because Man City are used to choking in these situations and Real Madrid are not.
Yeah. There is a use to pedigree as well. The pedigree and the teams. Tottenham have a pedigree that, has shown over the years to have a weak mentality. And Arsenal had that weak mentality. This is how I can recognize it in teams. I've seen it in Liverpool this season. I've seen it in Tottenham over the years. And we have not been good enough to overcome even that. They've had a couple of glitter. They've had a couple of star power players, Harry Kane and Son, who can turn it on in April and get them into the top 4. Craig says Arsenal break records, Tottenham break managers. I respect Conte for what he said. Should he have even taken the position, Tom?
Conte. in hindsight, it's easy to say no, but
Yeah.
on paper, there's no reason to not take the job. I mean, it's like this could sound really silly, but it's like, why do people keep applying for the Watford job? It's because you sign a contract and 4 months later you get paid to fuck off. Why would you not take it?
Yeah, and some part of Conte had to believe that he was going to turn things around. Stephen said, "Give me the FA Cups in our abysmal years over their barren golden age any day." Yeah, you might have had some good days out in the league, won some games, but you got that dreaded Arsene Wenger top four is a trophy mantra about you. The thing, of course, Craig hints here at 30 years
I
of hurting.
disagree with that completely. I want to be playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I don't care about 2 extra FA Cups because we built nothing on it. Still out of Champions League. Playing on
You're not
Thursday.
supposed to build things off FA Cups. It's just a prestigious thing to have won.
Yeah, but if
We
you're
got
not
one.
Supposed to have been, you get for a club like Arsenal, they say you win an FA Cup, it's supposed to be a springboard to have more cash injected into the team, spent in the right way, and continue.
But how much extra do you get for the FA Cup?
But Tony, as a supporter, I grew up wanting trophies. I grew up watching an FA Cup final, and then you go out and you play football, trying to recreate the goals you've just seen.
I was going to say to Ray, it's actually a great, based on what Ray just said, it's a great advert for your football team, because it's not so much now where football's accessible on everywhere, apart from on Saturday at 3:00 apparently. But generally speaking, right, and apart from today, where most people in England couldn't watch the game,
Mm-hmm.
but like for example, Russell Crowe, the Oscar-winning actor for Gladiator, supports Leeds United because in 1972, the only game that was on TV in Australia was Arsenal versus Leeds in the FA Cup final in 1972.
We lost
Leeds
one there.
won, and he was like, yeah. So you could have had Russell Crowe if you'd won that, probably, but you didn't. But my point is that was a big deal. Fan bases grew, not so much now, but at the time. There would have been a time where the only game shown in the United States would be the Cup final, because that was a game that went worldwide.
Yeah.
Because of all the pageantry around it and like the royalty and like it was like showing all that off. And teams would want to be in it because then it exposed them to an audience. And that was how you then started getting people sell shirts in America and all those silly things like that. It sounds really silly because, like, to you now, it's like, oh, football's here it all the time. It's just on Peacock or whatever. There was a time where it wasn't.
So, and Craig, I'll answer your question you put in there very shortly in the chat box. And thanks for being here, supplying questions to us and interacting with us. Tony, you want to be in the Champions League just for the prestige of it?
No, I want to be in there because we're competing. I picked Arsenal because
you used Tottenham as an example. Were they competing? I mean, they got to a final, right?
They got to a final. That's like I tell fans. It's not about how good your team is. It's about the other team's forms. Because they finished 1 point ahead of us, but damn near won the Champions League.
Yeah. And we want to be there. We want to be in that position.
I mean, all our fans think we need to take 5 years to be able to compete in the Champions League.
Yeah.
No, that isn't the case.
Now,
you have to be playing for it to be able to win it.
You have to be in it to win it. You have to be in it a number of years. And the consistency now for us to be in that top four minimum to keep punching our ticket to get to the Champions League and have an opportunity to get to the top at one point. Craig is right. 30 years of hurt in Europe. Some teams like Liverpool, they just have that aura about them, as Tom mentioned. Real Madrid, they've got that tradition of winning Champions Leagues. Real Real Madrid, Liverpool have done it, Bayern have done it. So these are the powerhouses that we need to probably step into. We have never won the Champions League, and we've won a
We should
couple
have
of.
won one, and we should have been in the final of the other.
I know, but we didn't do it.
Last year in the semi-final, second leg, BT Sport in England put up a graphic that said Manchester City had during the game a 99% chance of reaching the final, and Real Madrid had a 1% chance. Who ended up playing Liverpool 3 weeks
football.
later?
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird how bad they were doing, then all of a sudden they turned it on.
Yeah. Presto Play said 3 Italian teams still in Champions League and 2 Italian teams in Europa League. Is Serie A back? Quite possibly. Nope. Okay.
I think they've been a lot of money put into it.
I do know for
Italy and Spain are the architect of their own destruction in terms of the loss of their prestige in world football. Because, for example, obviously it's not one size fits all answer, but the reality is if Barcelona and Real Madrid wanted a Super League because they wanted more of the TV revenue that was going to England, but England created a plan to share the TV revenue, which then raised the bottom of the league, as in our worst team will probably beat their worst teams, because Real Madrid and Barcelona only looked out for Real Madrid and Barcelona, not the other 18 teams. Say what you will about the Big Six. You can say what you will about the Big Six and like corruption or like favouritism or anything, but the reality is when the Premier League started, every team got the same amount of money for being on for the TV deal. In Spain, I'll be staggered if they got the same amount of money, because Barcelona and Real Madrid probably got 90% of the TV money. So then they're constantly having to reinvent.
That's why they wanted the European Super League, so they could get more of the revenue share.
Yeah. But they created that problem when if you have no one to compete against, your product is shit.
Yeah. And the Premier League is strong now, so maybe the English teams are going to come forward now as being the teams that could win. Chelsea won it recently. City could win it this year.
Super League's in England.
Presto Play said I would like City to go as far as possible in Champions League, but I don't want them to win it. They play Bayern Munich next month, and that's going to be difficult for them. If they beat Bayern Munich somehow, they have to play Real Madrid and get past them, get to the final. I would say the odds of Manchester City winning the Champions League this year are very slim, and they've brought in probably one of the best goal scorers in Europe in Erling Haaland. That's just how difficult it is. Conte and Tottenham were never going to work. It was a match made in hell because of Tottenham's lack of ambition. Exactly. So here's the thing. Craig says, why does Arteta disrespect every cup competition? I would say, Craig, it's because we have found ourselves in a great position, a premium position to win the Premier League. Are we the best squad in the Premier League? No, we're not the best squad in the Premier League, but we're probably the best team in the Premier League. And what I say by that is we can put the best 11, 12 players on the pitch. But when we ask players that are sitting on the bench to come in and give us something, time and again, it has not happened.
Yeah, but like I said, Ray, we still end up with 10 starters playing in those games. Might not play the whole game, but to me, it's not as weak a team as people try to put out, because you got at least 5 starters in the starting lineup. So.
Yeah, but when you do that, Tony, you open yourself up to a draw here and there, maybe a defeat. If you bring a Tomiyasu in, if you bring a Jorginho in instead of Partey, you play Rob Holding now against Saliba. We hope he played well today, but if you give him a consistent run of games, it's going to be tricky. So I think Arteta has had to disrespect the competitions this season because of our Premier League situation.
I don't think he really tried to, though. I think he tried to win those games.
He tried to win the games with 5 changes from the Premier League lineups, and that's why we don't have the best squad in the Premier League, but we do have the best team.
But
because
if you
consistently in the
if
league,
you go look at all those competitions, they're still strong lineup.
mhm. Yes, they're a strong lineup, but we weren't able to beat City in the FA Cup. We really mixed up the team in the Carabao Cup. We weren't able to beat Brighton, and we went out on penalties against Sporting Lisbon in a situation where if we had had a stronger team, even for one leg, one of those games we would have won. We would have been still in the Europa League.
But before January, right? How many players do you look at on the subs bench and say, "Oh, you can come in and change the game"?
Mm-hmm.
There's one, maybe.
Yeah,
Two,
we
if you
didn't
want
have
to
many.
stretch it.
We did not have many exactly.
And now we got some now. So
Tony, the team should play to everything. Top 4 brought nothing of benefit but bad memories. Remember Bayern Munich defeats. Stephen, we could be in this situation. We could be talking about going out to Bayern Munich next season, aggregate of 7-2. You know, it could
I
happen.
don't know how the fuck we got so lucky of getting Bayern.
Barca and Bayern. You get to the quarterfinals, Tony. You're going to meet a good team. Really said, honestly, our record in Europe has got to improve.
Times.
What, Tony?
I said that was just crazy getting those two teams so many times.
We were in Europe.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Every year when it was like the Leeds and Arsenal balls in the FA Cup were like magnets to each other.
How that invincible team didn't win a Champions League still baffles me to this day. We had a great team, but again, we didn't have that DNA. We didn't have that European aura about us, you know, and I think that helps. Liverpool may not be the best team in this season, but if they play somebody in Europe, those teams are going to afford us that respect, I believe. Now you have to earn it on the field as well.
What's funny though is looking back to like 2012, 2013, looking at the lineups we used in the group stages. They're not. Actually, I'll go back. There's probably 2 players you'd throw in there. Arshavin and trying to think of a fucking defender.
We Steven said, it won't take 5 years to compete in Champions League, but will take at least 2 more years to have a chance to compete for it properly. I think
who was the center back that went to Barcelona?
Our center back, Vertonghen.
No.
I'm all for the Super League, provided it has better refs with transparent communication, which the fans can hear, like cricket and rugby. Good luck with that.
Interesting.
What
he really means when he says better refs, he means refs that give him the decisions that he likes.
Except for Marlon and Arshavin's about only. I don't even think they would make this squad.
I agree with you, Tony. Tom, transparency will drive the refs to be better.
I agree with that. I do feel that it would be a lot better long term if the refs would explain their decisions, because you then would know why give certain decisions. You'd be less likely to need to ask in the long term, if that makes sense. You'd already know.
I'm just glad
if you know how a certain referee referees the game and his thought process, you would know when he does it why he did it.
Yeah.
And you would understand. And you wouldn't eventually. Yeah. You wouldn't need to have him front up, because you'd go, "Oh, that's why he sees that sort of thing." But generally, when people say better refs, they mean refs that give them decisions that they want.
I'm just glad we're sitting there mid-season, and you finally see the FA say, "Oh, we have a problem here. We need to fix it." So hopefully they address it more over the summer and stuff. But at least they finally said, "Oh, we made mistakes," which is what people are asking for. Then there's people bitching about, "Oh, they're admitting to their mistakes now." Like Stan thinks Arsenal should be given
Bradford
points.
for that
They give
Bradford
us a
game.
fucking 3 points. You don't know how the games are
Yeah,
gonna play out.
yeah.
Just because
And
there's a bad decision, you don't know what's gonna happen
I think
the
I think
next 20 or
as
30 minutes.
yeah, and I think as human beings, if you hear the officials say, Tony, okay, we made a mistake, it's not going to make you feel immediately better, but you will be like, okay, they admit it, they made a mistake, they have an opportunity to be better next time, you know.
But the
Steve,
worst one is NBA, they got great officials, but during the playoffs, they do those 2 minute reports and it talks about everything they got wrong. It's like, yeah, but we didn't fucking win because you guys screwed up a handful of times.
exactly. Steven said we don't have the squad to compete in more than one competition without wearing the players out, killing us in all competitions. In 2 years, that will change. We have probably overachieved in the league. Now you're seeing we've had to maybe think about resting, giving our main players rest, bringing in squad players, and it's not been good enough in some of the competitions, the cup competitions. Craig said if we don't win the league, there's no difference to Tottenham's season. No silverware, just that we've finished higher than them. From here, I don't want second. It has to be first.
I can tell you something interesting I discovered yesterday. I didn't know this, but apparently Wolves fans think there's a Premier League agenda against Wolves.
I believe it.
Now, I feel like every team feels like there's an agenda against them. Is what I'm discovering through like whenever for transparency in this, whenever Leeds win a game, I watch fan TV of the team we beat. I don't watch Leeds fan TV. I don't care what other Leeds fans think. I only care what I think about Leeds. But I love hearing the opinions of other teams and their saltiness when we beat them.
Yeah.
Because you should be salty if Leeds beat you, because look at us. So then you should look at yourselves. But
Got a question for you,
they
Tom.
sat there. 1 second, Tony. They sat there and they were like, "Oh, clear Premier League agenda against us. How like that red card? Oh, he went VAR fucked us and sort of things like this." It's like you should have had one player sent off in the first half, Dawson, and then you had another player sent off because he got a yellow card and VAR. It like I don't know why he was only given a yellow in the first place, but it was like apparently that was to screw Wolves over.
So you're telling us Russ Morgan isn't the only one?
Fucking internet.
Yeah, Russ Morgan is not the only one that feels like there's agenda against his team
He's
only.
not. He's really not. I'm discovering this. Like teams, fans from other teams, they're literally sat there with their fan cams, like referee fucked us today. It's like you didn't. You're defending fucked you.
Craig, you're right. From here it has to be first. We are the third most successful team in England, and we need to try to bridge the gap. You know, we have an opportunity to win the league for the first time in 19 years, and we don't want that to slip by this season because you never know when you're going to be in this position again. Stephen said the sporting lineup Arteta put out was a half-hearted attempt to win it. Yeah, it was attempt to give Partey rest, give Bukayo Saka rest, give Odegaard rest because
but they were still playing in the games.
But we had a Premier League game on Sunday today, which we needed to win, Tony. You know.
Yeah, but we lack depth, right?
Absolutely.
We still lack it.
I've been saying that. I just said that. We have the best team in the land, but we don't have the best squad.
We had a super thin squad last year, still super thin. And I think it's still going to be thin because
we have a squad. We have a squad with a certain amount of players who can give us something. But when you mix it up too much, they're not good, and it's not good enough as a collective. Really said, I mean, refs who are consistent in their decisions. No apologies to clubs from Howard Webb every month. Every time Leeds beat someone, Tom goes to their fan channels to wind people up. I asked Tom to come on. I said, if you wish to come on, you can, because Leeds had a good day, and you want to come on when Leeds have a good day, right?
Because
Did you say you
exactly
that
what
last
happened.
game because nobody was on there with you, right?
I've watched about 5 fan channels this year, Stan.
So you don't get to watch many of these fan channels then, Tom, if you're watching the ones that
No, I didn't see that coming at all. Didn't see that coming. I've watched 6 fan channels, all right? So
6 this season.
I spread them out every month or so. Watch a fan channel. But no, it's true.
Wow.
No, I actually didn't get to bring it. It wasn't that funny, really. It wasn't that funny. My grand's been dead for 23 years, and even she knew that was coming.
Stan, Reddy's piling on.
No.
You know.
Nah, in all seriousness, something they also said, right? Now, because I know you have no love for Wolves either, based on a few of your encounters with them. And
No.
that the consensus I got from the Wolves fans was Leeds are time wasting too much at the end of the first half and in the game. And I sat there like, wait, what? Like, it's like Wolves complaining about other teams' time wasting. What?
Yeah, didn't we beat them last season in the 95th minute because they wasted so much time, you know? Perhaps in the 2019-20, Tom went with record number of fan
I'll tell
channels.
you now, Luton
10 or 11.
Town fan TV is a riot. I'm just going to tell you that now.
So that's a little bit of a segue towards Tottenham. Their apparent success over the last 5 or 6 years. Tony, it looks like we're going to finish way ahead of Tottenham. We can have St. Tottenham's Day maybe in April at some point, and
we could have it this month. Though, was it for fucking a stupid international break? I hate it when I'm
I'll tell you something else for free. I'll tell you this, when Leeds beat Tottenham 3-1 in May 2021, I was at work and I watched the game, and then I came home from work and I watched Expressions watch the game. Because, of course I did.
Because you're Mr. Tom.
Well, then, man, what the fuck?
As long as you understand, some fan channels do these things for clicks and hits. You know, they're expanding their social media presence based off of their reactions to their team.
Of course.
And it's a little bit disingenuous.
I'm actually quite polite to these fans. Like, I hope it really probably give the impression that I storm in there roasting them. I'm not. I'm just more. I laughed at the time wasting comment because, let's be fair, that's obviously nonsense. Did we time waste? I hope we did, because my biggest complaint about Leeds United in the Premier League has been that we're quite naive. And especially under Bielsa, it was like, get the ball back in the play as quick as possible and stuff like this. It was like, no one else does that for a reason. It's like we weren't, only recently are we starting to get more street smart to actually things that are going on. And but then to see Wolves of all teams or fans of Wolves be like, you time wasters, it's like, you did it to us the time you beat us twice in the season.
I believe, because we've done it, Arsenal have done it to other teams. If you're in a position, I believe you earned that right. If you're in the lead or you're drawing the game, you have earned that right to play within the rules of the game.
Yes, that is what I say. And other Leeds fans think I talk shit when I say it.
No,
we play football the right way. I'm like, what's the right way? Is that just a thing you use to beat Burnley with?
Ray, do you think it's the right thing to be playing 97 minutes to 100 minutes?
If there is that much stoppage, I think it has been known more recently
It's
now.
been horrible this season.
More
I
and more
never
people are
remember
talking
this
about it.
way.
So the average time that the ball is actually in play is something like 60 minutes, 63 minutes. 2/3 of the actual length of time allocated to play the game. 1/3 of that time is spent on goal kicks, free kicks, throw-ins, and talking to the referee, and injuries, real or unreal injuries. You know what I mean? Feigning injury or not,
Yeah, but
protesting to the referee.
I've never seen a season like this that has all those 97 to 100-minute games. Just, I don't like it.
Yeah, but
It's up to the
that what
referee.
you're that is actually the thing the referees are getting wrong, because it's actually not in the rules to play 100 minutes because a team is time wasting. It is not in the FIFA rules. It was in the rules for the World Cup, not in the Premier League rules to do that, or in the rules in England. It will be from next year, and what you're going to find will happen is, because players will soon learn that there's actually no advantage to be gained from taking 90 seconds to take a goal kick, they'll
Yeah,
just take the goal kick.
yeah.
So then you'll
I
actually
don't know.
find that
We haven't
ball
seen
will
it
be
though.
in play more.
We haven't seen it, Tom. We've seen teams
No, but it's not in the rules now. Like,
waste.
the referee made a conscious decision to give you the extra time against Bournemouth. That was on him. That's not in the rules to
Yes,
do that.
it's a minimum. The added time is a minimum amount of time to be determined at the discretion of the referee. So there you go.
Not in the
Part of
rules.
our squad depth problem stems from that disastrous January window 14 months ago. We stripped the squad down so we could have room to add some players in, and we bought some good players in Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, and bringing Saliba back.
I just think it's weird and funny that 2 years ago he was bitching that we had too big of a squad. Then last year he was bitching we had too small of a squad, and yet he barely reinforced it in the next two windows.
And maybe we have room now for a couple of players in the summertime. So the second goal. Let's get back to the game real quick. The second goal by Saka, a lovely bend run for Saka to take the ball on his left foot into the net. Wilfred Zaha again not tracking Bukayo Saka, and we win 2-0 at halftime. Tony.
Yep, it makes you happy. It's I like Saka's scoring for him right now because he started off the season slow. He seemed kind of like his mind was elsewhere. So that leads you to believe he's probably extended his contract.
We're on the 45th minute now. Do try to keep up, really. Do try to keep up. We had a major segue into Europe and Champions League and Tottenham, Arsenal stuff. But yeah, Bukayo Saka, and he would score in the second half. We'll talk about that one. But we have to do it properly, really. We have to spend another 20 minutes before we can get to that goal. Just joking. We should be wrapping things up pretty soon here. Tony, second half, we had that thing that you love the most. Do you know what you love the most in the game? Game of football?
What do I?
Oh, for a different question.
A through ball. You
I
love a through ball,
ball.
Tony.
And we started doing them last season when Smith Rowe finally started.
I think generally is something we always try to do. A through ball is.
But
is
we never
nice
did
play.
it. I still wish we had some more speedy players, though. I love them.
Tom, a through ball is something for every season, right?
Well, through ball is what I associate with pressing triangle on the PlayStation on FIFA.
Yeah, me too. When
Or
Tony
L1 and
mentions through
triangle
ball.
to chip it. Yep.
Oh, he's disappeared
But
on me.
he's right. He's right. There is something especially sweet about a goal scored from a successfully executed through ball.
If you really like it, it's the Y button.
The Y button, yeah. Why did I know that as soon as I said that, he was going to go, actually, on the
Go and get
Xbox
himself a prop.
One.
Yeah. Wait, did Tony just say he was happy? Question mark from Stan.
I love through balls. Come on.
Tony really loves through balls. And how much more happy are you, Tony, when a through ball lands at Granit Xhaka's feet and he's not only able to have a shot on goal, but he scores. And the player giving the through ball is Trossard. You've got to be so happy at that point.
Yeah, I like Trossard. I don't care who it is scoring a goal. Goes in. I'm happy.
Granit Xhaka, Mr. Consistency. His greatest ability is his availability. Ready. My apologies for not keeping up. Thought we were on to the Leeds preview. We did the Leeds preview early. We did the review of Leeds early. So
It's going to be 2 weeks of preview.
3-1. 3-1. 2 weeks of preview. Yeah. You can
2
have
weeks
your
of
time.
filler.
You'll have your time tomorrow as well. Then we're 3-1 up, Tony. And Trossard comes off for Gabriel Jesus. Saka comes off Kieran Tierney. Do you approve of those substitutions?
When were they?
63 minutes.
Yeah, that's about the right time.
Wait,
So
who
they're
died to
Tony
make Tony
approved.
the substitution police?
Yeah, they were Tony approved substitutions, Tom.
Don't have too many in the Premier League. I like the way he substituted in other competitions, but seems like he's finally getting it right in the Premier
Tony
League.
Turner.
The substitution police were happy, Tom.
He just fucking waited until long as he could to sub.
So at 3-1 up, I'm thinking it's Southampton, Tottenham, but it can't happen to Arsenal. But Zaha has that shot. Zaha has a shot, just steers wide. But then we settle the nerves, if there was going to be any nerves, Tom, with in the 74th minute, Bukayo Saka goal assisted by one Kieran Tierney. The fan base is happy.
Nerves. You're top of the league and you're 3-1 up against Crystal Palace and you're at home. Nerves. The audacity.
Well, maybe nerves for the goal difference. Maybe nerves that we seal it and it doesn't go 3-2, you know. Really, his only regret was not keeping a clean sheet today. Yeah, that was a bit of a blot. All I can say is thank God we got Trossard instead of Mudryk. They still have no idea what Arteta and Edu were thinking for that kind of money. You could say another happy accident. We got Trossard. Tony.
I don't know how we've done it in all the last 4 windows. It's like, let's go get the 70 million pound guy. I might go buy 30 million players or 25. I don't care. We need depth. They're all stupid. Stupid.
So Tony, Trossard, 6 assists now in 6 games, right?
Yeah, and how many of those are starts?
I don't know actually, but he's doing quite well when he gets starts in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he should be start. I would start him the rest of the season. That's kind of a question I wanted to ask. Do you bring Jesus in? And if you do, where do you play him?
Yeah. Or the question should be who's performing better now, Trossard or Gabriel Jesus?
And he's playing your favorite position.
Eddie.
Do you know what position he's been playing?
Trossard.
Yep.
The number 9.
There's an F in front of it, right?
Super 9.
The commenters were commenting on it during the games.
There's a striker. Is that what you mean?
Oh, the F.
What's S?
F followed by 9. False 9.
Oh, false 9.
Yeah.
I did say S. Yeah, no, or F.
No, I said F. Sorry, I've been coughing and don't have that good of a voice.
Yeah. The false 9. I would start the same team against Leeds unless Saliba's available. Jesus on the bench. It does seem like we're more effective with Trossard in the team, Tony. And Gabriel Jesus is maybe not going to give us what Trossard gives us in the game.
Yeah, he's clinical. He opens things up.
Intelligent.
I wouldn't play Jesus against Leeds. You need Jesus for the rest of the season.
I don't think it's a coincidence. We started scoring 4 goals.
Physicality.
I don't think it's just a coincidence. We started scoring 4 goals and all that since Trossard's.
You need Jesus.
We were screaming for Trossard to get in there and start.
Yeah, we're scoring. We're scoring a lot of goals, Tony, with Trossard in the game now. 4 against Everton this month. We beat Leicester 1-0. We 3 against Bournemouth, 3 against Fulham, and now 4 against Crystal Palace. Tom, you would not start Gabriel Jesus against Leeds.
No, and I'm saying that purely out of care for the welfare of your title run, because basically, 100%, or wouldn't be selfish reasons at all, but no, serious reason is basically because if he plays against Leeds, Firpo will crock him. And he will crock him. Therefore, your title charge.
Is Firpo a very physical player?
Oh, Firpo's killer.
Is he honest or is he not too honest? Being objective.
He's honest about the fact that he'll kill you, yeah.
So are you trying to say
he's genuinely I know he's been a bit of a source of ridicule, right? But I always saw there was a player in him, and he's actually been one of our best players since the World Cup.
Yes.
He's actually hasn't run the games.
Cult hero for you.
Is he good at the dirty arts there?
The dark arts.
He's a false left back, some may say.
You seek him there, and it is not there. And
when the ball fell to him against Southampton, I was like, Junior, what are you doing in the penalty box at the other end of the pitch? What the hell's going on?
You naughty boy.
What are you doing in the 6-yard box?
God damn you, Tom.
Get a drink there, Tony. As I read out Stan's comment. Can't believe I missed the only show of the season where Tony is in high spirits. I think our efficiency must have been good for Tony to be in high spirit. We must have taken the right amount of shots, had the right amount on target, had the right amount of goals, and our substitutions were perfect. Right, Tony? It's almost as if you had taken the team for the day, Tony.
And they hit the fucking Y button.
Is his favorite C.
The Y button. Tom, yeah?
Look at his little happy face.
Tony Lasso.
He's getting a laugh at Firpo jokes. Look how happy he is.
Tony Lasso.
You say this every time I'm on with you, Tom. Haven't you figured out I smile no matter what the fuck's going on?
Yes, you do. Tony has a lot of stuff going on. He does smile. That Saka goal assisted by Kieran Tierney. Really good to see Saka include him, make a point of running over to Tierney and include him in the celebrations. Because the players know when their teammates are not playing games, and maybe he's not happy and we want to try and keep him in the fold. You know what I mean?
Do you think he wants to leave?
Probably in the summertime he will want to leave, yes.
It seems like he's committed to doing what Arteta wants because he's kind of copies what Zinchenko does to his
The only issue is Arteta has not been committed to giving him the minutes.
No.
Giving him more minutes,
He should be coming in for at least 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because that's when you want the solid defense anyway. Tell him to stay back a little bit. Unless it's a close game, then. Unless it's a close game, then you keep Trossard in there or Chico in there to
So it was
Perfect.
part of the perfect day that Kieran Tierney would get an assist and be part of the setup in this win. Jorginho, we're just about to close out the show now. Anyway, Jorginho comes on, Emile Smith Rowe comes on, and White comes off. Martinelli comes off. 82 minutes. Tony, happy to see that.
I like seeing them in 75th minute, your second substitutions, but
yeah. Kivior comes on at 85 minutes to get a few minutes for Gabriel Mega Legs. Now we don't have a Europa League competition to play. He's going to have to start giving players their league debuts within the league, their minutes within the league. We'll bring Alonso in, but we're going to be here for about 4 or 5 more minutes, Alonso.
That's okay. I'll talk backstage.
Okay, no problem.
Right.
Do you want to stick around?
Sure. Can I get my thoughts, please?
Yes, you can.
How about that supersonic Granit Xhaka scoring for Arsenal?
I know. On a through ball from Trossard. Tony is happy about that.
Yeah. I think I wrote in the chat before the season started that I still think it'd be kind of cool if Granit Xhaka wins the league with Arsenal. I mean, and they said it in the telecast today. He's come from the depths of the fans hating him and become a villain kind of guy to like an unsung hero. So I'm really glad for Martinelli and Saka, but I think more so I'm happy for Xhaka because he's kind of grown on me a little bit. Like Stan said, I think, whenever you give a guy a chance, he'll do things. And the number 8 role on the left-hand side has kind of been well.
Yeah, the redemption of Granit Xhaka. I remember Stan being the one who wanted to start with that, the redemption of Granit Xhaka earlier in the season, and he's completely different character, transformed. You wouldn't have guessed this as a player. If you were new to the league and you found Arsenal for the first time this season, you wouldn't have guessed, this Granit Xhaka from this season was the same Granit Xhaka that would get red cards. More than one probably in a season for the last 5 seasons.
Breaking news, everyone. Breaking news. Stade Reims are drawing 1-1 with Marseille. Opening goal scored by Florin Balogun.
Yeah.
Equaliser scored by Alexis Sanchez.
Former Arsenal.
Is that one of Tony's academy? Is that one of Tony's academy kids?
Alexis Sanchez. What about Tavares? What's he doing? Yeah, no, good stuff. Good stuff. So Tony, you were happy Kivior got on? You get a run out? Get in Balogun, says Riddy. Yeah.
It scares me.
Tavares is playing, yeah.
It's scary having him next to Holding's a little scary.
All right, so rounding up anyway, there is no them. Us Arsenal fans, we're going to differ on things. We're all going to have different points of view. We're going to see the game differently. But there's only us. We need to be collectively behind the team now for the next 10 games and hopefully bring this thing home. Let's get out of here.
Down to see Leeds. I don't have to scroll down now to see Leeds.
Not all the way.
No.
Two-thirds the way now.
Position. No, that's just the natural position on the smartphone. But I'm starting to get vertigo from these heavy heights of 14. So I might have to get some pills for that. Sorry.
Tom, I thought Ben White had a good game. I know you're working off highlights only. Ben White had a good game. Bukayo Saka had a good game with 2 goals. Trossard had a good game as well. And Granit Xhaka, his availability is always there. My nomination will be Ben White for today. Alonso, who are you picking for your Don one man in the match? Who's your nominee?
We talk about Saka, talk about Ben White, we talk about Martinelli, but I think the guy who should get man of the match, in my opinion now, is Rob Holding. I thought he came out very good today. I thought that he redeemed himself from Thursday, and I thought he had some good clearances there. Yeah, it's tough to ask a guy to come on without limited playing time and start a full 90 minutes, I think. So, if I play to Rob Holding, I think he's the kind of guy that doesn't get all playing time and take advantage of it. And he played very well today. So, really impressed by how he handled things. And, he's still an Arsenal player. So, very happy for him. He had a good game today and did well for him, for Arsenal, rather.
And you know what, Alonso? There's no need to rush William Saliba back because we do have Rob Holding for the next game. Mm-hmm. And maybe he can be ready for the Liverpool game after Leeds. Tom, I don't know if you have any nominees. Maybe it's your time to push Ben White up into the voting order there.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Yeah. I don't care about Martinelli, Saka, Trossard, Xhaka, Tierney. There is only White. There's only Ben White, okay? Without him, your team would be nowhere, all right?
Yeah,
He's the steady Eddie that your team needs in the absence of Eddie, okay?
Of the real Eddie, yeah. He's the de facto Eddie when you don't have an Eddie available.
He's a great man. I don't know what happened in the England setup, but it was obviously something that means he's going to be spending more time around whatever your training ground is called. I don't know the name. But the important thing for you.
Yeah.
Oh, the Colney. All right.
Benny Blanco.
London
Colney.
Colney.
I didn't. I've heard of that name. I didn't know it was your actual training ground.
London Colney.
Okay. All right. Betty White. Was she? I thought she was dead. Oh, wait.
Benny.
Sorry.
Benny Blanco. Benny White. Well, Tony knows him.
Benny White.
Benjamin.
Benny White.
Benjamin Button.
Martinelli for Stan as well. So, man, the match was Odegaard. He was everywhere doing everything, and a thumbs up for Holding. Listen, this was a great performance. Shout out for Holding, as Alonso said rightly. Holding played well. Ramsdale, a great save in the early minutes against Wilfred Zaha.
Yeah, but
Odegaard was everywhere. Ben White was everywhere. Bukayo Saka is scoring goals. That's what he does. And Martinelli. Tom, yeah?
Why is it called the Don Juan Man of the Match? I've been watching this show for over a year now and I still don't know.
Because I created it fucking 3 years ago.
Just like the Fool Nelson. He created the Fool Nelson.
I thought it was Tom.
No, he created the name, and I just said, you know what, fuck you, motherfucker. I'm going to actually fucking make a fucking podcast.
Have you got a small T behind that with a circle? A small T with a circle around it? Did you trademark it?
Should have.
I was doing it in my head then. No, apparently there is a band in New Zealand with a similar name, but with probably... There was another podcast, FULL Nelson, but now if you type that name into YouTube, we still come up. So, Full Nelson. So, we won that war.
All right, so who are you putting forward? Benjamin White?
No, Saka.
Saka, okay. That's fair. Tony, who wins it for you? We don't get to choose.
There are lots of 7s and 8s. Odegaard's been doing what he's been doing lately, unlocking everything. But to me, first, 7-8 weeks of a season, fans criticizing Saka. So for me, it's Saka. He's finally turning it on.
Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're Tony.
Getting goals left and right now. So for me, it's Saka.
All right. No, it's a good shout.
How's
Truex doing?
He's in 5th.
Okay.
What's a Truex?
It's the only Truex.
No, there's 2 of them.
It's a car going in the left circle, Tom.
I
At the
don't think
driver
I've ever
turn in
asked
a left
Alonso a
circle.
question. I don't think I've ever in my life asked Alonso a question where the answer hasn't been him telling me to do something to his nuts.
Yeah, these nuts, right?
Exactly.
Alonso and
I
his
don't know why I
massive
asked
nuts.
because I should have known what I was going to get told.
Yeah. All right. We're out of here. We're gonna do
when
a
he
quick.
says it.
Alonso would be a blast on fucking
We'll do
Jeopardy.
a quick roll call. The
Every
backstage-
question that he didn't know, he'd be these nuts.
The
No,
backstage
Alonso?
pass is in there
There's-
for everyone. Let's do a quick roll call. Tony's here.
Hi, Tony.
Tom was here. Alonso's here.
Happy Tony. as
Reddy
Stan
was
said.
here. Stephen, the Arsenal Misfits, here. Gary's here.
Gary.
Stan the man is in the house as well. Who else we got?
Today was their UFC chats, was it?
We had Craig was in.
had
Stephen
BS.
O'Toole. Presto Play was here.
Henry
Henry
Ray
Ray
Baker.
Baker was here. Russ Morgan. See if you can beat me to the next one, Tom. The Assembled. Who else?
Stephen
Ty
O'Toole,
was here. Ty was here as well.
Presto
So
Play.
Dave's LFC chats was here celebrating the Ireland rugby team winning the Six Nations. Get in there, Alonso. Get in.
Dude, that was an awesome game, man. England made it tough, though, man. England made it very tough. So
they did.
well played for them too.
They did make it hard. Everyone rolls on to the World Cup. But yeah. Did you give it the Erdegaard, Tony?
No, Saka.
What?
Go
Yeah,
Saka.
the Bukayo Saka, and we talked about this earlier. Who's going to win the Player of the Year? Haaland or Saka? Or somebody else? Alonso?
It was
I'd
still
say
Let's see what Alonso says.
I would have seen Odegaard make it, or not Odegaard, but Odegaard or Saka, or maybe Martinelli, given the fact that Saka has a good, even double digits consistent in goals, and Haaland doesn't have that. So I think, they should go with Saka, I think, my opinion.
Would you be okay if they gave it to Haaland for 50 goals?
If she gets to that point and we win the league, then so be it, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I'll take the league first, and then we'll fight it out, right?
Yeah.
10 more games to go. We're getting to the run-in is coming. The March for the title has been good to us. We've won 6 in a row. I know Gary's here watching. He wants 9 in a row. So Leeds, we have to become enemies of Leeds next time out, but we'll be friends after that again, Tom.
All I know is
depending on the result.
I don't want the April and May from last season.
We're assuming a lot, aren't we? We are assuming a lot here.
I don't want anything like last April or May.
It was rough, yeah. Gary said top 3 scorer in the European League, not good enough for England. Future topping the scorer with no trophies, captain material. Ugh. And that's Southgate. He continues to make some strange decisions out there. We want all football players to go forth and play international games and come back safe, healthy, without injuries. And have you got many traveling as well, Tom? Leeds players?
I hope not.
That means you don't really know, you don't really care.
Yeah.
Just want
it's a lot of both.
How many of Americans have been called up, Tom? That's all we want to know.
It was all 3, but Adams is injured, so we're keeping him back at LMO. But I believe the other 2 are there.
You need those Alec Ferguson freak injuries, phantom injuries to be out there. Anyone wants to come back and say hello to us in the back
Wenger did that a couple of times.
The link
too.
is in the chat there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tom, thank you for joining
me on the show.
Thank you for taking the link, and dropping in as well. It was a good chat. Alonso, thanks for joining us toward the end. And Tony, thank you for joining also. It would have been a boring 2 hours just listening to me, but you got a lot of BS from Tom, Tony, and Alonso as well.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone. We'll be doing shows as normal, but there won't be any football for a couple of weeks. We will find things to talk about, and maybe a Kahoot show next Sunday for sure, 100%. We're out here. A good win for Leeds, a great win for Arsenal. We move on to the next one. We actually meet each other. The form table. We'll check that out on Thursday, Tony. Take care, everyone. 3, 2, 1. We're out of here.